Yes, the Casanovians. Alright, boys. I want to share an interesting story with you, which I hope gives you a lot of value, and hopefully you can use the lessons I've learned from this pretty stressful experience to hopefully go forth and conquer, make your lives better, have greater success in the field of dating, in business, everything. So yeah, essentially I got trapped inside of a lift. I got back yesterday and I just finished a day of coaching with Brian in Barcelona. Shout out to you, Brian, you absolutely crushed it. And got back, went inside of the lift, didn't think anything of it, and the lift ascended about 3.5 floors, and then all of a sudden, lights go out, like the whole thing just shuts down. I'm like, okay, are we stuck now? And I go over, because like in lifts they have the emergency button where usually you can get you can talk on the intercom to lift management people. Yeah, well that wasn't working. All right, so that wasn't working. It was like 6:30 p.m. So there's no emergency button that's functioning in this lift, and the way that the lift has stopped, I'm stuck in between 2 floors. So even if I had superhuman strength, I wouldn't be able to kick myself out because there's just like a brick wall or half of a brick wall in front of me. So at this point, I definitely went into survival mode. I'm like, okay, I'm stuck in this thing. I can't access the emergency button. All I've got at my disposal is a loud voice. So I'm just screaming at the top of my lungs for about 5 minutes. Nothing's happening. I'm trying the emergency button again to see if I can get through on that. No joy. I'm continuing to shout. Nothing's happening. No one's around. Look at my phone. Obviously, I'm inside the lift, so I can't get any signal. And I actually, hindsight is always 2020, but I was like, fuck, what's the emergency service number for Spain? Because obviously I know in the UK it's 999. So I'm like, okay, maybe if I phone 999, I can get put through to the Spanish, whatever. This was about 3 minutes into the escapade, and then all of a sudden I could hear some people who were coming up the steps. So I'm like, right, this is the opportunity. Let's just grab these people's attention. So I just scream, and then this very friendly Spanish guy just came over to me. Anyway, you could see that I was stuck in the lift. So he was like, stay there. We'll call the emergency service people. But before this point, I'm just stuck in this thing. I'm just thinking, right, okay, because there was a former version of me in this situation that would have absolutely crumbled, right? I think it's important for you boys to remember, when I started all of this stuff, this journey of personal renaissance 4 years ago, I was an absolute mess. I was an absolute nonce. I was this hyper-feminized, emotional wreck. Whenever anything stressful happened to me, I just couldn't handle it. And in that moment there, I knew nobody was actually coming to save me. I had to save myself, right? That was the epitome of that. I'm always saying to you boys, listen, no one's coming to save you. It's up to us to forge our new identity through the fires of adversity, to dive bomb into discomfort, to live a life free from bullshit, and recognize that no one really is coming to save us. Yeah, it's up to us to save us. And that really epitomized it. And I thank God for that moment, because even when I was going through this escapade, and look, I know there's plenty of people in the world who've gone through a lot worse. Oh, you're only stuck in a lift. But in that moment, it was stressful, right? But I was like, God is handing me this opportunity to grow, and he's handing me this opportunity now to also demonstrate to myself how much I've developed as a human being. Like, at no point during that escapade did I lose control. Did I get super emotional? I was very rational. I was very calm. I was marinating in the moment. I was like, right, this is a situation. I started to do this little like meditation, breathing exercise because I was like, in this situation right now, all I can control are my thoughts. And if I let my thoughts run away with me, I'm gonna get out of control. I know former versions of me would have done exactly that. I would have got carried away in the cascade of catastrophes. I would have started to entertain all these bullshit thoughts. Oh, what if nobody comes? What if I get stuck in this lift forever? What if the lift just collapses and implodes? And nobody knows, right? Nobody knows, like getting buried alive. But I was like, okay, these thoughts don't actually serve us right now. All we can control is our thoughts and our action. So let's continue to scream at the top of our lungs. And when I was doing this and I wasn't getting any reception from the outside world, then my mind was like, oh shit, like what if nobody come? Like, no, we don't need that right now. Let's continue to do what we can do and let's just wait. Let's be detached from outcome, right? And all of these things, I owe so much to cold approach, right? And I think the way that I've always perceived this skill set, it's different to the way most people see it, right? Most people just think, right, I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna approach some girls, I'll get some phone numbers, I'll go on a few dates, maybe I'll find the one. And yeah, cold approach has completely transformed my dating life. I've been able to attract women who once upon a time I would have considered out of my league. Oh, no way. Like a kid like us, grew up in the Lake District, porn addict, erectile dysfunction. Like there's no way that we're ever going to be able to be worthy of attracting this caliber of woman. Like these are the thoughts that I used to have. I think that is consistent for most guys who get into this space. But now, after doing everything that I've done, especially over these past 4 years, the mindset I've got now, whenever I encounter these inevitable vicissitudes, is no matter what, I can handle it. Yeah, no matter what, I can handle it. And I think it's only in these moments where we actually get tested. That's when all of these inspirational quotes and mantras and affirmations, that's when your character actually gets tested as a man. Yeah, it's one thing to talk a good game. It's one thing for me to make these live streams when shit goes south, it's up to you how you deal with it. Control your mind, control your thoughts. Like it's all well and good saying this when I'm on a balcony and everything is going fine, but it's in those moments where I actually get to see that I've become the man who I intended to become. Yeah, the version of me who can handle things. Yeah, the version of me who, when things don't go as planned, I can handle it. And now, speaking to you boys, I'm like, it just gives me so much faith in my capabilities as a human being. I'm like, yeah, we have actually evolved. Like, we can actually handle life. Like, whatever the world throws at us, we can handle it. And we can also handle it with humor, with a smile on our face. It's like, Ikkyu Sojun, throw me in hell, I'll find a way to enjoy it. I was like, okay, let's use this as a personal renaissance exercise. Let's breathe. Let's meditate. I was like, fuck, I've got an Entourage application call in 40 minutes. I really don't hope I miss that because that would be deeply unprofessional. Soz, mate, I'm late. I got stuck in a lift. Yeah, good one, bro. So I was like, oh no, like I don't want to miss that call because I've had somebody who's booked in to apply to become part of my network. I want to be on time for that call. So that provided me with more passion to get out of the situation. And it was super hot inside of the lift as well. So like there was a moment where I was like, yeah, I could just suffocate in this thing and nobody will know. And then all of these thoughts are just flashing through my mind. But again, it's just returning to source, returning to present. What can we control? Let's not get carried away here. Let's just continue to scream. So anyway, once I got the attention of the good Spanish folk, trying to communicate with them, they were like, okay, we've called the emergency services, but we don't know how long it's going to take them like to get here. And look, all we are is animals responding to incentives, right? The world's motivated by self-interest. We all just want the best deal for ourselves. So these people, they didn't owe me anything, right? They've got their own lives to live. They're like, right, we've called the emergency services, but like we need to go to work right now, so we can't stay with you. And again, there would have been a part of my mind, like there would have been a part of me like a couple of years ago who would have been like, no, like please stay with me. I'm scared. Like please stay, please stay. I was just like, yeah, no problem. I'll be fine. And like just in that moment there, I was like, fuck Kristian, like we've actually evolved as a human being. And I'm so proud of you that you can just be like, listen, I can handle this. You go to work. I'll be fine. And then so I'm waiting in there for about 10 minutes, and then some more people like come along. I think because they were thinking, why is the lift broke? And then they followed the stairs. Anyway, so it's like some more people found me. We were like cracking a few jokes together. They were like, yeah, this has happened before. I'm like, it's crazy. Like, why is the emergency button not in operation? And again, they're like, oh, like this has happened before. It's been reported, etc. So anyway, eventually, after about 20 minutes, this 80-year-old old Spanish caretaker looking guy comes along, and he's got like the master key. Like he does a few movements, and then all of a sudden, like the doors open, like there's like these little slidey doors on the top. So I need to then hoist myself up to freedom. But like I'm grateful. Well, I suppose the lift is, because I'm grateful the lift stopped where it did, because if it had stopped a little bit further down, it would have been like purely brick. Does that make sense? So yeah, I definitely feel as though that experience was a gift from God. He was like, okay, I'm gonna hand you this opportunity to grow even more, and also to see how much you have grown. Yeah, it's like the whole nothing happens to us, everything happens for us. And my mindset after that initial stress, because you know that's going to be there, because it is a stressful situation, I was like, how can this serve me? Right? I didn't want to complain. I didn't want to be a little bitch. I didn't want to get upset like I would have done in previous versions of me. I was like, how can this serve me? Whilst I was in that lift, I was already future projecting to today, thinking, this is gonna make a great piece of content. This is gonna be amazing. What a great story, right? It's the whole like, it's either gonna go well or you've got a funny story. I've learned that mindset through Cold Approach, and now I'm like, yeah, I can just handle things, you know, like, and also it really just demonstrated to me, like, all of the trivialities, things that happen to us throughout our day-to-day lives, it really minimized the importance of things that I would place a lot of importance on, like first world problems. Oh, I didn't get the right syrup in my mocha chocochino. Oh, now I'm in a bad mood. Oh, a girl flaked on me. Oh, I approached a girl, it didn't go anywhere. Oh, I don't know, whatever, my fucking sloppy Giuseppe arrived 2 minutes late, and oh, this is like, woe is me. I don't order sloppy Giuseppes, nor do I have syrup in my mocha chocochinos. But do you get what I'm saying, though? Yeah, it's like most of the things that happen to us are so trivial that it's just laughable. But yeah, this is, you know, the energy that I move with is freedom from bullshit, and I think it's these moments in our lives which really test our character and test our capabilities. So yeah, I'm just big shout out to me. I'm just so blissed out with how much I've developed over these years. What I've done as well, boys, is for you, like true OG people, you'll know that I had a podcast for a long time. So it's called the Kristian Casanova podcast. It's still there. But what I've decided to do is I'm creating a brand new podcast, and this is going to be a podcast where I get different guys in my network, the Entourage, have interviews together, and then I publish those interviews for you boys to listen to. So if you go on to Spotify or wherever you get your podcast, I'll link it in the description as well. I'll link it in the comments. Freedom from Bullshit podcast on Spotify. The I of bullshit is an asterisk. Freedom from Bullshit podcast. I've got 2 episodes on there already. And yeah, I just want to use this podcast as a way of documenting different interviews, sharing a lot of value, showing you guys different members of our private network, the Entourage, as well. We are truly creating something special inside of this network, and the members that we've got inside, the high level guys. It's just an incredible network to be part of. So I'll link the new podcast in the comments, and then you can go over, you can listen to the first 2 episodes. The first episode is an interview that I did. I published it on YouTube yesterday. But I appreciate, whenever you might be on your commute to work, you might be at the gym, you might just want to listen to some good old Kristian Casanova whilst you're doing life. So yeah, that podcast is available now, Freedom from Bullshit podcast. I'll link it in the comments, and then you can go listen to those episodes. But yeah, just takeaways from me. Like, no one is coming to save us. Like, it's up to us to forge our own path, to live for an audience of one, I think just to have a rational faith in our own capabilities. Like, I do believe we are stronger than we think, and I think it's these moments which really test our resolve. So yeah, I owe a lot of this to Cole Approach, to putting myself through the social fire, doing social media, people leaving flavoursome comments like, oh, you're shit, you're ugly, you're a 4 out of 10 at best, you're physically disadvantaged. Like, these are the comments that I used to get when I first started. Now the comments are just like, oh, you're shit. I'm like, dude, after getting stuck in a lift, I honestly couldn't give a flying fuck. So yeah, listen to the podcast. I hope that this has inspired you. Go out there today, crush it, live a life free from bullshit. Don't die with your music still inside of you. And if you haven't done so already, you can download my free courses as well. All my courses are free. I give away information and I charge for implementation. So yeah, nothing happens to you, everything happens for you. Everything is a gift, and it is there to serve us. Perception's reality, right? Nothing is good nor bad, it's the thinking that makes it so. So whenever you get faced with undesirable situations or outcomes or scenarios, once that initial stress has subsided, it's time to make a decision. Okay, how am I going to use this? How can this serve me? How can I use this experience to become more of a savage, more of a killer? And how can I use this to dominate even further? So